2 of SSRL. We are in Season 6 of the overall league, of course. We started the division split last season. Everybody kind of based the divisions on their availability, so some drove Monday and Tuesday, and some drove either the Monday or the Tuesday, but this time we have done some deliberate splitting because Monday now qualifies as the faster division, and Division 2 is the amateur league, to put it nicely. Anyway, we are going to just go through your driver lineups very quickly. So in the McLarens, of course, also racing in Division 1 is Quincy and Race Chase. Then Mr. Cloudsan and Sergeant Devsey have taken both Tifosi spots. Then it is Bruiser and no Sebo in the Red Bulls. In the Mercedes, it's Pleasant Snake and Jamaican Jam. Watch out for those two. Especially watch out for Eugene in the Aston Martin. Tark and Gino, maybe more of a midfield contender in that team. Kovachka and ADS round out your Alpine. Then it's Ryan Brooks, who is phenomenally quick, with Eman in taking the other seat there in the Haas duo. The Racing Bulls have Toby and Energetic, who, of course, Energetic raced last night, finishing outside of the top 10, if I'm remembering that off the top of my head correctly. Then in the Williams, it is Quad and Trugster. Trugster making his return. You might remember him if you were here in Season 3, for the amount of penalties that he got. So he'll be looking to put that right. It's a new game. It's a new season. Skid Solo and Suribo rounding out your Kick Saubers. And of course, we get underway at the Austrian circuit next week. We're off to Silverstone. Then it's Melbourne and Jeddah, followed by Spa, Francorchamps. Then we go to Hungary the week after. You will notice there that there's a week's break even between rounds 6 and 7, so we will return to action on the 19th of August. Then it's a Mystery Grand Prix the week after, then finishing Season 6 in Zandvoort. And of course, a 3-session qualifying in Monza. But more importantly, we have a guest in the co-commentary box, champion of Season 1, breaking point specialist, and of course, our favourite F125 streamer, Herman the German. How are you doing?
Hello Dave, hello everyone. Thank you. That was a lovely introduction once again. Yeah, I'm doing good and I'm looking forward to kickstart this new season with a lot of new guys on the board and a very interesting field, as we have now split the field by pace, and I'm looking forward to this one.
Absolutely. I've also was just kind of going through the lineups very quickly, just saying who was where, but like there's also a lot of familiar names in there as well. Like, we have Quincy, who actually races in Division 1 like he did last night, got 4th place. And he also comes into Division 1 tonight with a good advantage, but also there's also new names like, I've seen in other leagues, like, for example, PFRL. I know where Ryan Brooks comes from, and he is phenomenally quick, I'll tell you that. We raced in Lusail a couple of weeks ago, dominated the field there, but of course, and he even kept it out of penalty range, so he didn't even secure any penalties. I'd say he's a good bet to win this race, but of course, we have to get out the way the 18-minute qualifying session, and then we, of course, have the 50% distance race. So, my question to you, Herman, is with all these new faces and a mixture of old faces as well, who are you looking out for this season?
Yeah, it's a very interesting question, especially for the Constructors and Drivers Championship. I have to say, especially with the improvements Quincy has made over the past let's say 3.5 months, I would say, especially over the long season we had with Season 5. I would consider him with this lineup now one of the favorites. Not only his pace yesterday in Austria showed that as well for Division 1, but he has things for his racecraft that have been improved steadily over a certain amount of time recently, and I think he's also liking the game way better than before. So I think you have to consider him together with Snake, because Snake I would assume, be someone for Div 1 if you're familiar with our league. So he's just racing Tuesdays because he can't make Mondays, but this is also a bit why I think he has to outperform his previous season, especially because he only took the opener of the F124 game in Silverstone, and then there was basically only a podium after that in the whole of the 24 game. And yeah, as you said, Ryan Brooks is one of the, I think, dark horses for us as a SSRL universe. You know him and have seen him race before, but I think you can consider him already making some waves in here as well. And especially to us in the commentary team, we wouldn't count him out. And I think one of my personal dark horses for this season is going to be Truckster. I've seen him race in some lobbies before. We did races when the game came out, and I have to say, it seems like it's an improved version of Truckster, especially on the penalties. I hope I don't jinx this now, but yeah, I'm curious to see how he's gonna stack up. And for constructors, and I'm gonna toss that over to you as well. McLaren is gonna be my favorite. I think Haas is gonna be in a close fight to second. And then there's maybe Mercedes, but I have no idea how much Jamaican Jam is like in this game so far. So, what do you think about this?
I will say, I think Quincy, during previous iteration, I think it was the previous season where Jamaican Jam actually did race with us, although for a very brief amount of stints. I wouldn't blame you if you didn't quite remember that. Well, was it season 4? Anyway, it doesn't matter. He's raced with us in the past, didn't really get to grips with the F124 handling. We didn't really see much of his pace, so I think my prediction will probably change as the session and the season, the season goes on. And we're going to have to see how Jamaican Jam attaches himself to the game. And I think you're quite right to point out Pleasant Snake is a good contender in that. Anyway, to get to long and short of it is, I think I'm on your side here. I think McLaren are certainly a good shout. Quincy, finding pace throughout the previous few months and also taking to the game a lot better than he did to F124. That's a very good shout. I think the Haas is a good shout as well. Ryan Brooks alone can score some good points. It will depend on where Eman can finish there. I think the Mercedes will also be one to look out for as a dark horse as well. So I don't really disagree with you there, Herman. But now that we've got qualifying underway, we're seeing Cerebro on a bit of a scruffy lap here, not one that he will want to write home about. I want to ask you, because I got my top 3 predictions before I came in to the commentary box today. I've got my top 3, but what are your top 3, just to begin?
Yeah, I missed a bit of the preseason because my PC wasn't running and didn't plan on doing everything in terms of review on my phone, so that was a bit struggle for me. But I have to say, I think I'm gonna go with Quincy, especially for win tonight. His pace seemed very good, and I have no idea how consistent over these 36 laps Snake is gonna be. I think he has a tendency of a late penalty sometimes, especially in high pressure situations where he needs to push, he needs to make a move, and sometimes there was an issue with that. Also, tire wear is gonna be very interesting, judging by yesterday. So I think Quincy is my P1 pick. I'm going Snake and then Ryan as P3. He has yet to prove himself to me because I haven't really seen him race, and obviously you need to get yourself acclimatized to what the field is doing also in the race. You can be half a second on pole if you have the pace, but if you just mess it up into turn 3, for example, under braking and then just go backwards 6 places, and you end up in a fight and a tangle, and you're basically down a lap, then that's no good for your race. That's no good for your championship, and there's less races again, so every race is more important. I think that's my top 3 for today.
I am going to say it's right on pole. Ooh, Red Bull in the wall there. That's actually a bruiser. Sorry about that. We just caught him as he was slowing down for traffic just to allow the fast cars through so he didn't impede anybody. But now, trying to get back on the accelerator, it is very easy to get that wrong, and he has got that very, very, very wrong indeed. And unfortunately has to come into the pits on, well, what the game says is a flyer, but I would say that his pace would have been very slow anyway. So crucial time loss for Bruiser in the Red Bull there. But so my predictions for the top 3, I'm going to say Ryan Brooks for pole, Quincy for second, and actually the Spaniard Eugene for third. I'm going to say, because he's been pacey before, run a few races across the seasons that SSRL has been around. He's very quick, and I think he could be on for a good result, but depends how well he's taking to the handling model as well. And then, of course, just to kind of run through the quality results very quickly, as we now are about 5.5 minutes into the session. We've got Quincy on pole by just under 0.4 of a second to ADS. in second. Ryan Brooks in third. Fellow Son, who we're currently watching right now, in fourth. About to finish another lap, but invalidates it. So he goes straight into the pits. Energetic in fifth. There, Toby in sixth. Tarkagino seventh. Sir Ibo, Skid Solo, and Quan rounding out your top 10. As No Sebo then puts in the time in the Red Bull. Seventh place with a 105.522. Drivers yet to settle up are from 14th to 20th, and of course, Bruiser's a bit of an outstanding situation due to the damage to his front wing. Now, Harmon, you are racing in Division 1 right now. You took the Mercedes out last night. You didn't have the best of races, maybe not the return you wanted. What did you kind of learn from that first round, and what would you say if you were racing tonight? What would be going through your head?
Yeah, I think that was a rough start, as you said. Mainly that was due to force feedback issues, like for the first 2 quarters of the race, or basically the first half, I had like inverted. Oh, Truckster! Wow. Yeah, Jesus Christ. Talking about someone that was probably not having a good time in previous seasons, he is now back with a banger on his first attempt, and although he had the previous one invalidated, this is very nice now. Yeah, so force feedback was inverted, and there was partially one, and then the final lap when I pitted and got lapped, the force feedback came back, and I wasn't really acclimatized with the game because I had to troubleshoot my PC for the last 12 days, and there was barely anything I could do in terms of prep, and yeah, there's also some internet issues in that race. I talked to Fellison about that at length after the race, and there seems to be maybe streaming issues with my settings, because I was just lagging across turn 1, and then I just got this ghost hit where I'm on a screen inside of him basically and ghosted, but on my screen he was way further away. And that was like at the start, all of the progress I made was lost. So yeah, although not a very pleasant experience, I have to say. But yeah, I go again next week. Let's see how Silverstone is. But track and car is very interesting. Also tire wear. I had to manage mediums a lot, like 18 laps, because I thought the rain was coming earlier. So yeah, a lot of things going wrong. I hope that is it for the rest of the season, as there's a second McLaren now in the top 3, almost neck and neck with Quincy here, as Pleasant Snake and also Jamaican Jam have made their way onto hot laps now. And one thing I wanted to say, and we should also discuss, Fellison is driving in the R. Let's see how he fares against his personal self from yesterday, running the Aston Martin on Div 1. So yeah, I'm interested to see how Pleasant Snake lap is going to come about now, pushing out of the 8th turn into what is a very fast right-hander before the final opportunity to head in the pit lane at the phase of the race when you need to, and he's coming over the line to go first by 3/10, over 3/10, and Mercedes on top. Let's see if his teammate is close to finishing a lap as well. He is, and he can manage 14th for the time, as we have approached 9 minutes left on the clock. What a lap by Snake there, Dave.
Absolutely, but going ahead of the field by over 0.3 of a second, as you said. And now I'm looking at him, man, because he's just finishing his lap. The only, well, one of 2 drivers not to set a time, and it's not going to be quick at all. That's a 107.955 towards the back of the field there. Only driver remaining, who's currently in the pits due to spinning out and damaging his front wing earlier, is Bruiser. So he's still a bit of a dark horse at the moment. We don't know where that Red Bull is going to be. We're just looking at Race Chase. Invalidates his lap, so he won't go any faster. But we've got Quincy and Trugster on out laps right now, and they are only separated by about 3 or 4 car lengths. So that could get very interesting. They'll need to give each other the right amount of space going forward when they start their flyers. But now we're looking at Tark and Gino here, currently 10th with a 105.463. And just in case if anybody is new to all of this F1 league racing, and you're not quite familiar with how the formats work across certain leagues, maybe this one just in particular, what it is single qualifying session. So 20 drivers have only got 18 minutes to set a lap and then improve upon it. And some things I do want to let you know is that we are only doing a 50% race, so it is not a full-length race. And if you are new to League Racing or just F1 Sim Racing in general, of course, warm welcome to you. And of course, we hope you enjoy the broadcast throughout the night. Just kind of touching back on driver performances, one thing that has really surprised me, of course, we talked about Eugene earlier, and about how, like, I had him pegged for third, but at the moment, with 7 minutes to go, just over, 13th place with a 105, 644, and over a second away from Pleasant Snake, who is on pole right now, and even over a second to third place there. So my prediction, not quite working out there. And Ryan Brooks a bit further off than I thought he would be as well, but not too far away from the grand scheme of things. And he begins his flying lap.
Yeah, I'm watching Devsy now as he's coming across the line. Found a 10th over what has been previously his best time, but there was no improvement. But he has set the same time as Nocebo in the Red Bull, but the Turkish
Not
driver
anymore.
did it first. And now he improved, and he's into 7th, with only 10 tenths behind Ryan at the moment. I have to say, one that caught my eye so far is ADS. Like, he was struggling a lot with the last game. He just came in under the 24 game, and now he's found something. And there's Quincy with another improvement under the 1 minute pause for the first driver to reach that in tonight's qualifying session, and that is the next benchmark. Snake has to beat now if he wants starting on that first slot. He's still on the front row, but yeah, he's out now and he's gonna go again. There's still plenty of time. It's the shortest lap you can find. And Kovachka, holy, where did that come from? Usually the guy who just continues to work his way into the top 10 after starting from positions outside of it, but now he's inside of the top 3 on a very decent lap, I have to say. And there's plenty of drivers who want to jump ahead maybe in a moment's time as we approach the final of the session. And yeah, I'm interested to see what Pleasant Snake's answer is for this, what we've just seen from Quincy.
With just over 5 minutes to go, Pleasant Snake begins his flying lap, and now he has got to find nearly 2.5 tenths, and bouncing across the sausage curb of turn 1 there, and Nicky allowed a corner, they call that. Now they call this turn 2. You're usually going flat out at about 280 kilometers an hour, then you have to brake very hard for what is turn number 3 there. You go down to about second gear and you approach that at 47 miles per hour, but now you have the second DRS straight and you go in separating turn 3 to turn 4 downhill, so you can't really brake that much later, and there's a gravel trap willing to collect you if you go too deep. But Pleasant Snake was very aggressive on the approach, losing the rear end, but all okay here for turns 6 and 7. But no, he's not. He's lost the rear end, and he's not going to find 2.5 tenths. He's 2.5 seconds behind in the grass. A bit of a disaster class from the Mercedes driver there, and his teammate down in 15th, who's also on a flyer but has invalidated the lap. So we're now looking over to Quincy's teammate Race Chase. He's approaching the very moment that Pleasant Snake got it all wrong. Not so much wrong there for the McLaren, and was a personal best of nearly 200ths there. So this is a good, 2 tenths even for the McLaren. This should pop him up at about 3rd place, but it also depends what he's done in sectors 1 and 3. We don't have the timing differences for that, but here we go. DRS opens. It's gonna be 3rd place. The McLarens, for the moment, with 3.5 minutes to go, lock out 1st and 3rd. And one of the surprises here is Kovachka in 4th place. This is going to be some wild ride for the final 3 minutes of our first Div 2 qualifying session.
There was an impeding by Toby on the final attempt that Energetic just completed. He was up like half a second, and then into turn 9, Toby was going slow into the pit lane. Obviously, you have to follow the white line before entering, and you're very slow at the apex, and I think Energetic was caught out by that and had to slow down a bit. He still improved, but like 2 tenths could have jumped him up even higher, as Orche just made. makes another improvement in his third team. So yeah, he's currently not enjoying the extra pressure you've put onto him, but someone called it a day already, and Feddersen is done with that. 5th at maximum, if that is going to stay how it is at the moment. Kovachka is still out there. Truckster is a valid slow lap, and more people are probably attempting to improve on their best, including the new second Haas driver. But that attempt was no good, and there's no battery left, so I think that's going to be tough from here on. 2 minutes to go. You have to be out soon if you want to find an attempt. Looking at you, Targentino. Ryan is still in the pits. Jamaican Jam as well, and Bruiser just left the pit lane as well. Is about to start flying lap here. As it's the only run remaining without a time lap. But that might have been a validation of next lap as well, and that is the case. Because if you run over the white lines at the exit or entry of 10, you gain yourself an advantage claimed by the game, because you can line up the next lap way better in terms of speed and everything. So yeah, you get punished for that as well. Kovachka is throwing it in very deep, and he's off! Off at turn 4. That apex was quite tight, and he couldn't make it. Was maybe a bit of a Franco impression after...
Oh.
There's a disqualification for no SIBO, so that is P20 for you, and that is the Red Bull team with no one higher than 19th on the grid so far. That must sting on your home race.
I was just going to say, I was watching while you were going through all of that drama with Kovachka. I was watching Race Chase, and he was improving through the final couple of sectors. Through the first 2 sectors, but invalidated it right at the final corner. And then, of course, that invalidates the corner next. Well, that invalidates the next lap as well, as you get an advantage out of the final corner, or that's how the game reads it. So, Race Chase's qualifying has now come to an end, but other drivers now currently on a flyer. We're looking at Quan for the time being. Many drivers coming across the line now. Quincy and Pleasant Snake on an outlap. 30 seconds to go. They will make it. And Quan, well, he's 2.3 seconds down, so he's not going to make any further impression. But Bruiser as well, invalidated last time due to being in the gravel at turn 4. He's now approaching turn 3. The Red Bull with no time on the board. His teammate disqualified from the session. It is a nightmare qualifying for the Red Bull team, but can Bruiser do anything to change the fortunes of the home team? No! He's off in the gravel at turn 4. Quincy begins his flyer, and Pleasant Snake hasn't made it. So either way, Quincy is guaranteed something unless someone is going faster. There's an Alpine coming towards the line now. It's ADS here. The qualifying session has completed, so you must finish this lap. ADS, 4th place. He pips Truckster, and, well, Truckster relegates 5th, but he's also on a flight. No, he isn't. Truckster is off. And as Pleasant Snake is still on an outlap, he can't complete this. So what about Ryan Brooks?
He is not. It's a bug. It's a bug. I've watched it. He's going to complete that lap, I'm sure. Let's watch him. Final 2 turns for the Mercedes driver.
Go for it.
3 tenths he needs to improve on. Final turn, he's over it, and it's invalidated. It's only 2nd for Pleasant Snake, and he's spinning his car in frustration.
Oh,
and there's Quincy to even improve his lap time to take a cemented pole position here for the first race in Season 6, as he's done before in Austria. Toby can't improve. He's very close to his teammate. And P11 on the grid as final one to conduct this first very dramatic qualifying session. And yeah, they align astern, the V-Cubs on the grid.
I will
what
just say...
Pleasant Snake.
So, frustration across the line, flips his car upside down, and then his mum moved him to Bel Air. But anyway, the official qualifying results, we have Quincy taking pole position, and this is his favourite track, I do believe, so he'll line up in his favourite spot at his favourite track. Pleasant Snake 2nd, Race Chase 3rd, ADS and Truckster rounding out your top 5. From 6th to 10th is Ryan, Kovachka, Fellow Sun, Tark and Gino, and Energetic. Then from 11th to 15th is Toby, Eugene, Stevsy, Quan, and Jamaican Jam. From 16th to 19th is Ibo, Skid Solo, Iman, and Bruiser. And your only disqualifier in 20th, no Sebo. As Fellow Sun, very happy with his qualifying indeed. 8th place for the Ferrari driver in Division 2. But now we take a few minutes, we cool down from the adrenaline of qualifying, and now we have to think of the strategy of a 50% race. 36 laps round here in the Red Bull Ring. But I will say, my top 3 prediction did not go to plan at all. How did yours fare?
Yeah, 2 spot on with Snake and Quincy in the right positions, and then just didn't get Ryan. So yeah, I think I'm up on you by a long shot. So
It would seem that way.
I would say you have still a good opportunity now because this is gonna be a chaotic race. So who's your top 5 for the race?
My top 5. Let's see. I'm actually gonna keep my top 3. Well, no, I'm actually gonna remove you. No, I'm gonna remove Eugene from there. I'm gonna put AD. I'm gonna actually put Trugster 3rd, ADS 4th, and then Ryan for 5th place. So it's Ryan. No, sorry. Hang on. What have I done? I've screwed this up. Something rotten, chat. I am going to say. I'm gonna say Quincy for the win.
Yeah.
Pleasant Snake to remain 2nd.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to say Ryan Brooks for 3rd, ADS for 4th, then 5th place, if I haven't said him already, Trugster.
No, you haven't, and yeah, you
Alright.
You got it now, funny. Yeah, I'm going with Quincy. I think it's gonna be a sort of comeback drive from Ryan, so I'm betting him for 2nd. Snake, and then we think Truckster, and my 5th position is gonna be.
By the way, we have our formation lap on, so if you don't mind, I'll run through the grid one more time. We have Quincy in pole position, starting on the hard tyres here. Pleasant Snake is doing the same in 2nd place. A McLaren 1-3, Race Chase taking that 3rd position. He starts on the mediums. ADS also doing the same, starting mediums, as there's a Racing Bulls car taking to the MotoGP variant. Having a bit of fun there. But anyway, back to the grid. Trugster is 5th there in the Williams. Medium tyres for him. Ryan Brooks on hards as well. Hoping for a long first stint is the Haas driver. Kovachka there with one of his best qualifyings we've ever seen in the commentary box. He's 7th place, starting on the hards for the Alpine. Fellow Son, we've had a migrating host issue with Quincy.
There's a restart.
Restart! And we have to cancel the formation lap music. But anyway, so, Herman, what's with the restart?
I think there was an early press from Iman, and that is immediately back off the grid penalty, because yeah, we have a mandatory break in between the sessions for reasons. Everyone has a chance to set up strategy fuel, maybe have a quick pee break as well, and yeah, rules is rules. When the call comes when to go, everyone has to be at their seat, and if we go earlier, then it's gonna be restart. So yeah, just a bit of I think inexperience from Iman here, as he maybe jumped the gun there a bit. So yeah.
Okay, so Iman will be sent right to the back of the grid, which means it will no longer be No Sebo starting in last, so he gets a place. He's going to start 19th now. So a bit of good news for it's one less for you to do. For if you're No Sebo. Eman, even, I beg your pardon, I think he's Filipino driver, and I'm not trying to make anything negative of that. I'm just kind of stating because I've just seen this guy for the first time. Looks like it's got Filipino there on his nationality. So, yeah, he's actually asking what did he do, but of course, as we've already explained from Herman, we don't need to repeat that. So, of course, due to starting early, he starts now at the back of the grid. So now, obviously, a bit of it, and I think we covered this. Like, well, no, there was a kind of similar, not similar incident in the real life race, but of course, there was a Williams that actually couldn't get started on the grid. And what happened was we had to delay everything by about 10 minutes. Now, luckily, we're not going to have that dramatic of a delay here, as this is league racing. We can luckily get things underway in about 3 to 5 minutes, give and take. But like, what, even with that 3 and 5 minute delay, Herman, that must just ruin your prep, like your mental preparation, not necessarily your strategy, because that's already like written down in the data. But for your mental strategy, that doesn't really do much good, does it?
No, there's always like there's always a sense of hectic in this because like we don't have the mandatory 10 minutes we just saw in Austria as well after Carlos Sainz couldn't get off to start as starting grid. So the thing I, especially at the start or when I'm not that focused as I maybe should be, especially when there's this call and you're just waiting for this confirmation maybe, and there's someone just going off the radar there a bit. You need to get back into the lobby, and then two stressing points are always there that you remember to set the right allocation if you chose different before or you plan to do, because that is very crucial now, especially after there have been adjustments to tire scaling for this year's game especially. Second most important thing is obviously going to be setup. Like there's always a chance that even if time is up, you actually forgot to load it. You just did your strategy, because that's also very important for most important point. Because if starting tire is wrong, you, for example, start on a hard, don't have a second hard with you. You can't. Yeah, you basically have an extra stop to go to if you want to do the one stop, and that is really throwing you off with this restart. So you have to kind of get back into the process, and obviously if you're also in the admin team of a league, then you have to do invites, you have to check on others and yourselves, message people in the Discord as well. So that kind of plays all into part, and then the time you actually have to think about yourself in your race is limited. And I can't imagine how that is for Quincy every time something like this happens. So there's just a lot of extra mental load if you're in this situation, because you have to go through that process again. Maybe you weren't liking your choice before because now you've seen what the other guys around you are doing, and that can all play into factors. And if you're not sure with setup and you want to change something, then it's a bit on the edge to maybe flip a coin and say, okay, this didn't work in quali, maybe I run something else which someone didn't commit to before. Lots of things can play on your mind now after you have that extra 2 to 3 minutes before we dive in again.
Absolutely, yeah. So everybody's just got to be a little careful and just make sure we pick the right. Make sure, well, they pick the right strategy and pick the right setup and everything, because it can very quickly undo your race. Of course, I'll try and dig out the qualifying positions, but of course we will have to remember now in all of that, Iman now starts at the back, so no, Sebo is actually promoted up to 19th because of that. So now we are just waiting for one last driver to come in. We do have all 20 drivers. And here's another thing I wanted to talk about with you, Herman, because obviously I was here for Div 1 last night. Don't get me wrong, in very clumsy circumstances, but I was there. And, we had 19 drivers last night. We've got 20 tonight. The numbers in SSRL have been growing since Season 5, I would say, maybe even Season 4. To be a bit more precise, but it's really good to see SSRL growing because it is ran very well.
Yeah, it's obviously it was helped by Fellison's league, kind of deciding to cut things off. The Monday division basically that is now D1 was most of the drivers who ran in SSRL over the year 2024 as well. And then we had some names that have kept with us for last season, and now even more new guys are coming in. Some you also knew from other leagues. So I've talked to Quincy about this, where 24 game obviously wasn't as well received as it seems to be with this year's game. So people kind of turned their backs early, especially after Christmas. Don't want to do like the far end of this season when going into the new year. And he's just pretty handy with getting new people in and also making them stick. And for example, if you have issues, and for Bruiser is a very good shout here, has a lot of issues with internet, is usually strong on uh, with his prep, but is always thrown back by this. I hope this works out for him at this time better. And yeah, you always saw these disconnects from him, but he's very eager to get into things based on what the knowledge part, which you also need besides good driving. And knowledge is power in a way that setups and also strategy can make you go 5 or even more places ahead of your um, similar pace opponents. So there's a lot of drivers, I think, that have enjoyed this environment where they can easily learn and grow. And now we even made it more of a safe space, because yeah, you have to say, if you look at the field of Div 2, lots and lots of people don't have a good time when they're racing two splits, basically, where the field spread was so large like last year. So you really have to think about how Sir Ibo, Git Solo, Devsy, Bruiser, they could all have a safe space now to thrive. And moving forward, that is obviously always going to be one of the strongest points. And I think that's also what Quincy's advertising, and that has been working so far. And just crossing my fingers that we will have continued attendance like this for the rest of the season, even into next year, before we head into 2026.
Absolutely. And now we can finally start looking at getting back underway. All 20 drivers have returned, and there was a bit of an amusing message there in the SSRL Discord. They said, Energetic said to ready up and forget your setups. He's trying to clearly look for the admin competitive advantage there. But he quickly corrected himself and said, of course, don't forget setups. So at least there he was very quick to correct himself. Anyway, our start time now is been moved by another 4 minutes, so we will now be underway at 8:11 UK time. So that is another 4 minutes away. Eamon is wondering why he has been tagged in that. Of course, it's entertaining and
Yeah, I
informative.
wonder why.
I wonder why. Just anyway, basically just giving Evan a very strict command: don't hit ready up for another. What is it now? 2 or 3 minutes. So we will soon be underway. But of course, what really has surprised me is that, just commentating over F125 is that even in 50% races, we're seeing mandatory, no, not mandatory two stops, but you are forced into a two-stop strategy. And how is that? What has that been like? Because F124, it was a one stop and done, depending on how the race kind of unfolded. If no safety cars or interruptions were to happen, it was one stop, and then you basically went to the end. And of course, the league combated this last season in season 5 to put a mandatory two-stop rule in, which brought in a lot of uncertainty with the strategy. But Andy Andre, being Andy Andre, still took away the championships in both Division 1 and 2 anyway. And so he then, of course, became a 4-time champion. But now, with no mandatory two-stop rule, we're still seeing the two stops anyway. So can you just describe the tyre wear just before we get underway for formation?
Yeah, there was a bit of limited running, as I said before, for me, especially in 50% races. But I've also noticed that from like 25 races already, like you can get away with different strategies. Also, the AI seems to be picking different ones. It's a bit with an asterisk there, but in general, you can see that the highway is more scaled in a reasonable sense, because like 50% doesn't mean like 50% of the wear of every tire, but like in a scaling where the real life strategy should be copied. And for example, for the 24 season, we had the real life Bahrain race, where I think Verstappen took it with soft, hard, soft, and there was basically no option inside of 50% league race last game. So it has come, and we have waited a long time for this. And I think the overall sense is that it's really depending on the compound more than just overall how yeah, most of the races in real life also compare, because we still got the C6 tire warm-up problems, and I think we're gonna see tracks like Silverstone next week as well, where they're gonna be very different in terms of strategy.
All right, and anyway, our formation lap is now underway. So in case you've just joined us, we will run through the grid with you for one last time. We have SSRL Quincy starting on pole position. It's Pleasant Snake in second place, with the McLaren seeking out first and third there. Of course, Quincy and Pleasant Snake, if I remember correctly, starting on the hard slate are. So Race Chase in the top three there, being the only outlier starting on the mediums. ADS follows suit in fourth. Truckster on the hards in fifth, with Ryan Brooks following suit in sixth. Kovachka also on the hards in seventh. Fellow Sun starting on the mediums also in eighth. Ninth is Tarkangino on mediums. SSRL Energetic 6. Hard tyres for him in the top 10. Toby with medium tyres starts 11th. Eugene with hards starts 12th. Devsey in the Ferrari, the other Ferrari, being out-qualified by his teammate, 13th on the mediums. Quan in 14th on the hards. Jamaican Jam hoping to make up some places for his teammate Pleasant Snake so that Mercedes can score good constructors. He's 15th on the hards, also 16th in the only soft runner so far, Sir Ibo. 17th Skid Solo on the hards. 18th is Bruiser on the softs. And then 19th is No Sebo on mediums, and Iman being put to the back of the field due to hitting Ready Up a little bit too early. He starts 20th, but of course Bruiser wasn't actually able to set a particularly fast lap due to getting it wrong at turn 4. But anyway, Quincy leads the 20 cars, including himself, to the start-finish straight. And I will say it, one thing I love about this broadcasting, well, at least spectator mode this year, is that the camera angle switched to the correct camera angle at the start. Such a little thing, as we see 4 cars disqualified on the warm-up lap for getting their grid positions wrong. So cold tyres now for 6 drivers. That's Quincy, 7 even. Well, we're just going to get underway with no time to look through all of that. The green flag is out. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. It's going Austria, and I think Quincy there wasn't the best at the start there. That's allowed Pleasant Snake up the inside. Pleasant Snake to the lead of the race. Can he hold it, or can Quincy get the cutback? No, so the Mercedes is up to first position, and now Fellowson also got a position there in the background, but Quincy now under pressure from his teammate, but also under pressure is Race Chase there, currently battling with the Williams for third place there, and he's lost out, so both McLarens losing a position at the start there, and ADS fighting with Ryan Brooks down the straight, separating turns 3 and 4. Down the inside is the Alpine, round the outside is the Haas, and the outside works better for now, and in all of that, Race Chase also back up to third, and Quincy back to the lead. What a start here as Ryan Brooks loses out to Kovachka.
Yeah, it was a very tentative start in the midfield. I watched Energetic start. He's lost a position, then immediately gained back. And he's on a hard tire as well, and was very careful. And there was no pile-ups, which is always good. Quick yellow there for Quan, but we're good to go. And let's see how this field spread is coming about, because Diaz is going to be active into what is just before turn 1 and onto the first straight between the first and third corner basically, and let's see who's gonna make early moves, especially with the battery still charged up.
Alpine's running 5th and 6th. Looked like they were going to make a move, but not able to. But ADS locking up into turn 3. Allows Kovachka through. And you know what? ADS not fighting that too hard. Kovachka up to 5th place already and behind Truckster. And Truckster is already up to the back of the McLaren, but no such luck there. A lot of battling going down in the back, though. Sir Ibo battling with the Red Bull of Bruiser, who is currently up to, well, still 19th. Looks like he's down positioning. Indeed is. Sir Ibo down 4, but no Sebo from 19th to 14th. At least he's making his way. Already lap 2, and look at that, overtaking the Ferrari of Devsey as well. That's 6 positions in 2 laps, and this is a good rate of knots from the Red Bull driver, but the entirety of the field all the way to 12th within DRS range. It is very nip and tuck as of right now in these early stages. Pleasant Snake and then Kovachka with the fastest lap of the race so far, Herman.
Yeah, first turn there was a collision with Bruce, and this is why they dropped back by 10 seconds, and there was a very late on the brake move by Eman, so he lost a huge amount of time under braking into turn 4 and almost collected someone, but ghosting was on there as Dempsey is now trying to get away from the Seaber as more of the people inside of the top 5 fight, including Kovachka and Truckstar. They are swapping positions right now as they approach the braking of turn 4, and the first 10 cars basically very close together still, and it's really hard to break away, especially with limited dirty air. And there's a slide, big slide by Truckster at the entry into exit of 6, and he lost the position to fellas in there. Most important thing is that he didn't spin, which he kept on the road, and he can continue with his race. He's lost a bit of time, but still in that very crucial DS train from the cars in front is Quincy has retaken fastest lap with only Fellison seconds later take it away, and there's first time penalty that comes in the hands of the teammate.
Oh no! I'm sorry, ADS has spun round the first corner and collected Ryan Brooks, and that means the qualifying that Ryan Brooks had has all gone to waste. Same for ADS, just getting too aggressive on that sausage curb, loses the rear end, and I think as well another Alpine has lost it. Kovachka coming off the grass.
He lost it at the exit of 3, was fighting again, and then he was just overcommitting on the throttle, and he just slid the car across with oversteer. Didn't spin, but lost 2 positions. Also to Tarkingino's into 6th position now, and Truckster got back on, got back into P5 as well.
It's all kicking off right now. We've had to wait a couple of laps, but look at this. The leaders are now ahead of that second McLaren by 1.3 seconds. So the McLaren of Race Chase in a race of their own. But Quincy under pressure from the Mercedes of Pleasant Lake. And now Pleasant Lake has an opportunity in this, well, first or second DRS zone, depending on who you ask. And now Pleasant Lake going to make his move. He's got the slipstream. He's also got the power. And Pleasant Lake goes to the lead of the Austrian Grand Prix. But I think Quincy will look to come back because he'll have the DRS on the second go, and he does. So yes, that's Quincy back to the lead after all that fighting. And Fellow Sons had a moment out of turn 3, losing the rear end like Kovachka did, only getting a worse result there, Herman.
Yeah, and there was another spin at the exit of turn 10 for ADS. He's dropped further seconds away from the rest of the field as now Ryan has completed his pit stop and he's onto that hard tire, and I think, at least I'm hoping for him that he has packed the second one as well, because that is certainly not going to the end, maybe even not the halfway mark. So yeah, he is a long race now ahead of us, and he really needs that safety car. The leader is about to cross the line. He is on the back straight of the final DRS zone, as there's a 3-second Kovachka who's needing to dial back in as he's lost crucially, and the top 2 about to fight again, Dave.
Here we go. Top 2 are now approaching that second DRS zone. It's the fake turn 2, followed by the real turn 3, and they are going to go side by side again through turn 3. Who's got the DRS on this go? It looks to be Quincy. There you go. His rear ring opens. Ferrari has spun. I think that's Dempsey, judging by how the timing boards are going. But Quincy back to the lead of the race after losing it for a brief few moments. And I think Pleasant Lake is going to have to play DRS chicken with the McLaren, because if they keep fighting like this, well, Race Chase will be right there to help Quincy out. They've got to be careful. Well, sorry, Pleasant Lake has got to be careful here, really, hasn't he?
Yeah, it's very important to get away from the guys now and don't fight too much, because there's a nice gap now. You kind of need that, as I said before. Dirty air with same cars in terms of equal performance is not as effective as in real life. So if you're still in front, you can convolute the cars from the car behind, and that is not really the case. But let's see if Snake Fans is another go here. Approaching turn 3 again. All of that slipstream and that power from open flap in the rear wing. It's giving him an opportunity. Goes to the inside, bit late on the brakes, but the outside line is usually a bit better. There is a slight touch at the exit because of a little oversteer, but I think that wasn't really dramatic. Quincy has taken That's final and third DRS zone as well, so there wasn't really a chance now as Tak and Gino and Truckster are fighting into what is turn 4. The Williams is on the outside, that turns to the inside from the next turn, but Tak and Gino is no longer side by side with the Williams. And he is going to be staying in 5th for now. And there's another collision with ADS. And I think that was Iman. Yes, another problem for the second Haas and the Alpine.
Well, if you're the American Mafia, I know who you're looking at. I don't want to be ADS right now, because if you're, well, like I said, the American Mafia, you're certainly looking out for the Alpine driver. Alpine have making contact with both Emin and Ryan Brooks there, so both Hasses have had some sort of experience with the, well, what is the French team here? But here we go again. Pleasant Stake opting to stay behind Quincy on this go around, and will have the benefit of the second DRS, but also in the background there, we saw Targagino take away 4th place from Drugster, but here we go, battle for the lead now as we go on board with the Mercedes down the inside into turn 4. Can he make that stick? Makes it stick to the apex, but can Quincy fight back? No! But does he have the exit going into turn number 6 here? No! Snake got the traction, and he's all good. We have a spun round Alpine of ADS again at the exit of turn 1. Ryan Brooks overtakes that, no problem at all, but ADS with some sort of trouble. Herman, what do you think that could be?
Yeah, he hasn't pitted so far, so I think that's just a tire suffering from too many spins, especially the rears, and now he's front ring damaged as well. I'm surprised he didn't pit after the first one, because these tires are more fragile than before, as Silver has pit again. He's still on that starting medium, and he's in desperate need for a pit stop now, because I can't imagine the rears being in a happy place right now, and he's about to be lapped pits now. So yeah, that is a very unenjoyable start to the season. Take it away.
And Quincy there just trying to scare Pleasant Snake into a defense, and they're going side by side again between turns 3 and 4. Who's got it's the outside for the McLaren, inside for the Mercedes. They're going to keep that battle going into turn 5. I think Quincy's done just enough. He has the Mercedes and the McLaren swap for the lead again, and they are proving to have one heck of a battle. It is ringing out the battle that we saw in real life just the weekend gone. We're on lap 9 out of 36, and these two proving to give us a rather entertaining spectacle here. And now we're going to have it all over again. We're going to start lap 10 out of 36. 27 laps to go, and I'm looking forward to more of this. Sergeant Dempsey and Kovachka carrying track limit penalties. 6 seconds for the Ferrari, 3 seconds for the Alpine, who's in 4th, but a good race on Kovachka considering. And here we go again into the first DRS. So we go, Snake to the outside, and there's a Ferrari that's got stricken. I think that's Sergeant Dempsey, but anyway, McLaren trying to go down the inside. These two having a great battle, Herman, taken away into the next DRS zone.
Yeah, they're really enjoying themselves right now, I would say, and there's quite a momentum boost out of the exit right now, and there was a very nice fight before, and they will continue to fight it out into what is now turn 4, and it seems like Energetic has the better exit, but has to stick to the outside line for what is turn 6 now, and the Alpine of Kovachka is going to stay ahead for now, with both Race Chase and Toby opting for undercuts now. They have crucial timing on their hands. Don't fight too much, or you will lose time very easily and very fast. Top 2 have stayed out. Let's see if any of these guys responds. Doesn't look like it. And they will continue as they were before. I think Takagino has lost that touch now with them. Maybe he overused the tire so far, but he's still in a good position. Lots of people are quite spread out in the field as also Fellison comes to the pit lane.
Whoa, Quincy there with a massive lock-up. It was both fronts there that had completely gone, but he somehow saved that and got through the corner. And now Pleasant Stake is behind the McLaren once again with DRS. Didn't quite have enough to make a move into turn 4. Would have been rather optimistic, but ADS sticking with all of this. He's got a front row seat and probably the best in the house. The leaders battling it out for 11 laps laps now, and this has been a rather entertaining start to the season. And of course, there are other battles happening as well. Kovachka and Truckster going at each other as Kovachka goes onto the gravel between 6 and 7. That gives Truckster a run here. Could he get third place on the track? He can for now, but Kovachka will still be there, but he won't be for the final couple of corners. He slots in behind and is relegated down to 4th place on the track. But of course, with that 3-second post-race penalty, that will, well, he won't be able to keep that position, as now we are seeing drivers coming for their stops. So now, what are we looking at? Who's going to really benefit from this? And another question on top of that, Herman, if you're Pleasant Snake or Quincy, who would you have pit first?
That's a really tough question as of right now, because Race Chase is not gaining anything. I think they made their choice with starting on the hards because the medium is probably going to be very fast at the end. So I think for the second hard, which seems to be the right call for dry race in Austria on this year's game, they're going to be waiting for, I think, lap 15, and then really you have to think who's ahead, because if you're ahead, you kind of don't want to be undercutted, and at this stage that is Quincy. So yeah, let's see how Race Chase makes his way inroads, and if he can show some of that pace. But for now, I would say just stick with that DS train, because every time they make a solid pass and it's not a fight like they had a couple of laps ago already, then you actually gain time, although you're being overtaken. And there's a spin by a Mercedes. That is Jamaican Jam. Brief yellow is cleared. So whatever Snake is going to plan for the next 2-3 laps, maybe just stay behind and just make passes. If you're 100% clear, it doesn't cost you more.
Jamaican Jam had another moment there as Kovachka and Truckster going side by side with one another through turn 3. Of course, Kovachka racing like he's not got that 3-second penalty to serve post-race. And, well, they do have over 10 seconds to the Aston Martin behind there, as now Truckster's still trying to find a way through. They both lock up and a spin for the Williams. He goes into the side of the Alpine and is able to keep going, but I don't know how that would be favoured. I don't know. That's a bit on the aggressive side to me anyway. But at the moment now, it is Kovachka. Well, no, sorry. It is Truckster in 3rd position on track now in front of Kovachka. And Jamaican Jam has retired from the session in the pit lane. But Quincy has pitted, Herman.
Yeah, Quincy's in. He's jumping on the gun first here. Very smart. He's preventing Snake to be doing that undercut. But I'm interested to see where that gap is open up for him now, because Race Chase is around the 20-second mark to Snake now. And Quincy was just ahead of that, so let's see if Race Chase even gained anything. First turn is going to be neck and neck right now for both of the McLarens, but Quincy is just ahead, basically side by side, and they are running it down to turn 3, just like Oscar and Lando did on Sunday. So side-by-side racing, warmed up tires obviously for Race Chase, has been on them for 4 laps now, but Quincy is obviously in the run for the money. But the 3rd place currently looks secured. Kovachka has stayed out from the group we've just been watching, with Truckster and also Energetic both running the mediums now, and let's see where that brings them in. But if he can stay a lap or 2 with Quincy here, even on the older tires, he's going to benefit from that even more in the long run, and then maybe can go for an undercut again. Snake is into the pit lane. We are watching Quincy currently operating his McLaren in 3rd position, coming around the final turn. Only 10 on this racetrack, over the line. Locks in that out lap, and the Mercedes is into turn 1 off the pit lane, but more of the momentum is held here, and he's out by quite some margin, but has crucially opted for that medium tire. How do you think that's going to plan out for the next stint, Dave?
Well, he's going to have the pace over Quincy on this lap, and he'll have the pace over Race Chase as well, so he won't have to worry about that in this early stage of the stint. But obviously the tires will come to Quincy first and foremost, so all Quincy has to do is, I think we're going to see things settle down. Pleasant Snake is going to go outside of the McLaren's DRS, and I think, in all honesty, we're going to probably see Quincy draw him back as the stint goes on. We will see pit stops again at about, I would say, between lap 25 to lap 30. None of these tyres can go to the end. So I think Pleasant Snake has made a good call here. He's put the race under his control, and it was absolutely important that he got out in front as well. So that's another thing to be mindful of. And, well, as soon as I say that, Quincy gets the fastest lap of the race. But the caveat to that is he's outside of DRS regardless. So, the battle will...
Wait, did you say lap 30 next pit stops?
Lap 25 to lap 30, if I'm being...
Yeah, I would say end of 20s would be more of a reasonable choice, especially since Snake really has to go for that second hard as we watch Truckster take to Tark and Gino now, who both of them have been in a similar area in terms of where they shared the track so far in the first 16 laps, but Truckster has gone for the offset medium as well as Energetic, who had a lot of trips to the gravel yesterday, and he's diving really late on the inside of Tark and Gino. That was quite close with the rear right tire off the Dutchman. This is a Dutch internal duel right now, but at the outside line opens up for the V-Cup driver, and he really pulls through there with the extra grip he gets from the medium at this stage. Yeah, you can see that he really wants to get away from that group. Now, Takangino maybe missed an opportunity to go aggressive as well, and there's a 3-second time penalty on top of that. So yeah, he just needs to settle in, but he's still in a very strong position, as proved, it seems, with his racecraft, as well as the gap has now updated to 1.7 seconds at the top, and Race Change is being his teammate honest so far, even with the tire disadvantage. And there's another fight coming up with Toby Lenzen and Truckster, who's going for fourth now. Inside line is very steep, and the traction isn't preferred there. So if you can defend to the outside of turn 2 basically before you start to break in a straight line for what is turn 3. Inside line now for the Williams driver, and the home hero in Toby also lets his teammate through. Makes sense. Different strategies at the moment. And there's a yellow flag again, and that Defsy the exit of 8. There's no problem. And there's a time penalty for race chase as well. Nothing to worry about. As you can see, gaps are already at 9 seconds, and I struggle to see how Truckster is gonna overcome that pace deficit despite the tires being 5 laps younger. These mediums are gonna drop off if you don't take care of them and push them from the first lap onwards. So yeah, and obviously we need to look at Ryan as well. Currently has the oldest tires in the field with 13 on the dot so far, and he's chasing Fallison for 9. So he can come back to this race if he extends maybe 2 or 3 laps more, and then he needs to be having very long second hard run if he has the tires for that. And I think he might. Other than that, he should have maybe pitted 4 already before the stage of the race. Yeah, he's about to close down what is the train, currently led by Truckster for best of the rest. And I'm interested to see how that pans out in the next moments, and especially before the pit stops. And the gap has stabilized at the front. Quincy is chewing some tenths back. How do you see this next phase before the pit stops pan out?
Well, I'm kind of seeing this as, like, you know, it's kind of playing out how I expected for Quincy and Pleasant Snake. Like, you know, Quincy's losing touch, and I think that is purposeful so that Snake uses his tires. Quincy will be just hanging around the 1.52 second range and trying to get back onto, well, we'll get back onto the back of Pleasant Snake later on in the stint. But now we are seeing a battle for 8th place, fellows. So down the inside of Toby, Toby dropping positions since making his way up to what was an impressive 4th place there, just on strategy alone, but due to having slightly older tyres than the cars around him, speeding into the advantage of the position is beginning to drop off. But luckily for him, penalties to come for Kovatska and Tarkagino, and that could still increase before the end of the race, so could still be a good result for the Racing Bulls car, and his teammate putting in a very good performance as well. But the McLarens having a very dominant performance. ADS with a 3-second penalty for track limit violations. Qualified in 4th place, but down 11 positions, and his track limits let's say, track limit. Oh, what's the word here? Is then Ryan Brooks gets one for 3 seconds, and unfortunately for him, the current championship leader, well, championship leader last time I checked in PFRL, is now a 3-second penalty, down in 10th, not being the start we expected from the Haas driver. We expected a little better considering his league, his form in other leagues, and fellow son there having another battle with Toby, but now this time getting past and then having to look at Kovachka as a bit of a stopping point there, and the Ferrari losing the traction on the exit of turn 3. But there's still a lot of battles happening up and down the field. Truckster and Energetic going at one another, and then of course the battle we've just witnessed there for what is 8th place overall between fellow son Toby and Ryan Brooks. And there's of course even a battle for 12th there, 11th there, but of course no Sebo with a post-race penalty of 10 seconds there, so actually speeding pit lane violation there. But fellow son makes his way past Kovachka there, and now up to 7th, and looking to try and hopefully for him chase down Tarkangino in front. He's already within his 3-second window, so could still get 6th place just on that alone, but I imagine there'll be more pit stops to come. But now Quincy's starting to tap within that 1-second window, Herman.
Yeah, he has been clawing back a couple of things here and there. I have to say, on the topic of Ryan, you have to remember there was a crash at the start where he was involved, so I think ADS really didn't enjoy that first part of the race, and he's continued as he has so far, but way down the order. Sibo gets by on the second Aston Martin, and that is for 11th at the moment regarding penalties. And two of our mates are battling with Fellas and Kovachka running side by side into each other, and there's Ryan with a spin. Just talking about him, and he sends it spinning around. And I've noticed before, Kovachka has been running with a damaged front left end plate, basically missing. Bit of damage, especially crucial in the last 2 turns. The rest of the lap is quite easy for damage on this side of the car, but yeah, really doesn't have a front left tire wear, which is still kind of high, and you really want to keep those temps down if you can. There's a bit of an effect for extra tire wear. Fellison just gets a 3-second time penalty as well as another pit stop by Ryan. Let's see what he can pull from the back in terms of his tires left to choose from, as Quincy has now made his way into what is the DRS window of Pleasant Snake. So we can see that the hard tire is probably taking advantage of by the McLaren driver already, and ERS advantage also in favor of the orange Papaya car.
Oh, pardon me. Absolutely. By the way, just got a text from a friend saying it wasn't the Mercedes and McLaren battling first and second. I know. I was trying to make the comparison of first and second being the battle. At least you got me, Herman, but I just want to make that clear right now. I didn't mean that both the Mercedes and McLaren.
Who are these friends anyway?
Exactly. Well, they're kind of the same thing. I mean, they were a partnership many years ago. But anyway, look at this. We've now got a battle for the lead yet again. Quincy is much closer this time around, but decides to wait it out. Just scares Snake into a potential defensive move. But Snake doesn't fall for that, so Quincy might have a bit of a ruined exit into the next DRS zone. I don't think he's close enough to have a go into turn 4. He is not. Breaks at 100 meters and has to kind of give way in the dirty air there, and not really helping. He goes wide, missing the apex there, but he still remains with just over half a second to the car in front. By the way, ADS was still struggling. He brought out a brief yellow flag last lap. That one I'm not sure about, that we just saw flash up very briefly. And there's actually a battle going on here into turn 4. Just got away from that for a few seconds. That was for 7th place, but fellow son with the better traction out the corner as Devsy gets another 3 seconds.
Pit stop by Snake. Pit stop for Snake.
Thank you very much. So there we go. What tyres are we expecting here, Herman?
Yeah, must be the hards, I think. I can't see how he's gonna have good pace. Second medium, yeah, he's off the hard. Ryan has to basically go for it, it seems. He doesn't have a second hard, so yeah, that's a long medium stint here for him at the end of the race. Very similar length to what he's just done on the hard before spinning. And I think we're gonna see a response by Race Chase maybe soon, because he's dropping off with tires and maybe should come in sooner rather than later. If other people are maybe already opted for another medium. Takengino, for example. Trucks Toby went for that hard now. For Truckster, that is after a medium stint inside of his stint. Toby just came off of 4th with offset in tires. And he's running to the end now, so let's see where the home hero can get himself into the end of the race. So one of the only guys left without a time penalty. Don't hope I just jinxed that. So yeah, let's see how it pans out from here. I think Quincy's gonna be extending, obviously, other tire.
Oh, okay. So sorry about that. I thought we were going to see something dramatic there, but Bruiser retires in the pit lane. I just checked the track map very briefly. Bruiser had enough and he's just going to quit. And of course, if you do want to quit, Asfaluson gets a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. With Kovachka coming into the pits as well, but Kovachka not suffering the same fate there. So that all works out, but for fellow Son, he's now got a 10-second penalty to add on to the end of his race. I can't imagine him stopping again. Quincy extending here, as Herman said. Ryan Brooks there with the fastest lap, a 1:07.470. Just to let you know as well, we have a stricken Red Bull. I think that's of no Sebo there.
That's yeah, retired.
That's sorry. As Quincy now into the pit lane. So here we go. Quincy now taking his stop. Has he done enough to stay ahead of Pleasant Snake? I don't think so. It's about 16 or so seconds to the Mercedes behind. What about Race Chase? He'll extend as well. Bruiser leaves the session for obvious reasons, but now we're going to see Pleasant Snake come through the final corner. Quincy's on the way out, and he is not going to hold that. Pleasant Snake with fastest lap as well, and there you go, and I think that's going to be quite some lead for the Mercedes as well. Quincy with it all to do in the final stint there as Energetic comes out as well, making his pit stop. Wants to be ahead of Truckster, but that's not going to happen either. So it will be, there you go, there's Truckster and even Eugene over, no, is that you? No, that's Takengino, I do apologize. Overtaking the Racing Bulls driver, as there's a Ferrari now come into trouble. That's Sergeant Devsey there, who's having a bit of a moment. But now 2.6 seconds separating the Mercedes from the McLaren, and Quincy taking those medium tyres to the end. I think Quincy may have this in the bag, don't you think, Herman?
I think I'm a bit confused how Snake made that overcut work for the first end of the at the end of the first stint, and now also made the undercut work. So that is quite surprising. I think Race Chase really left it too late. I think there's nothing to gain for him with that overextension, but certainly to lose if he overdoes it. Almost thought he was gonna overextend into maybe running it like a one-stop like we used to be having here, but he now just opted for the freshest medium he could get. 10 seconds is a stretch. Takengino thinks he needs to pit if you look at 2 stops over for this race. Or he has completed that as well, so he's just running into more trouble if he is extending the tire too much, but for now it's good. I think maybe if he can find some pace, he confidently go about this, as there's Energetic and Truckstar battling it again. There's a surprising second medium for Energetic compared to Truckstar's second hard. I think both started on the hard tire. So yeah, that might be an advantage now. Obviously the time penalty from Energetic needs to be taken into account, and so far Truckstar has delivered on what I kind of promised, as Ryan is back into P8 fighting with Fellowson, who has a 10-second time penalty to 3 seconds for track limits so far. So that's going to be a free position. And let's see if Ryan can not only find the pace to stay with Fellowson, but also keep those tires alive, because he's like a 13-lap stint to the end in front of him, as the fight for 4th continues, as Quincy is still working on completing his job into the DS window. And now Energetic is moving to the inside for turn 2. That is the outside for 3, but he's now at well over car length, and he's going in his preferred line into turn 3 and onto the straight. Truckster wasn't really ready to pounce on a move there, and there's Ryan in the background, also going down the hill to turn 4, passing the works Ferrari engine, and he's now up into 7th and 4 seconds away from the group ahead. But if they fight too much in the next couple of laps, because we're approaching the end of it, they could be looking at another house in the mirrors. But we wait and see and shall find out.
Battling for ninth position here, Toby and Kovachka having between 0.3 of a second, but of course many battles up and down the field, as Herman has been commenting on. At the moment, Toby with no penalty though, and has made his last stop as well, a lap earlier than most of the cars in front. But of course, 13 seconds for Fellow, so 9 seconds for Kovachka, who's the car just in front, as now Truckster and Tarkagino do battle into turn number 3, and Truckster gets that done, but just outside the DRS there, a bit of a squiggle for the Williams. And now in the background we see Ryan Brooks and Fellow Son having another fight. Fellow Son still thinking he's in this race, but of course has an additional 10 seconds onto his time due to speeding in the pit lane. And here we go, Ryan Brooks forcing the inside to be opened up, and there you go, Ryan Brooks finds his way through on turn 4. Fellow Son fighting back though through turn 5, which will become turn 6. Fellow Son keeping it there, no contact between the two. This is very clean racing. Front, but very aggressive from them both. Aggressive but fair, as I should say. And they're still side by side for half a lap, and in the end, Ryan Brooks comes out on top for now, but DRS will, of course, carry them through. And speaking of DRS, Quincy is only 2.5 tenths away from that 1 second bubble, and all of a sudden we could have a frantic final few laps of an Austrian Grand Prix, which has absolutely delivered this evening.
Energetic is about to close in more and more in race chase, similar ERS level. He's gonna be getting that DRS from the now lapped car next to him, which should ADS him if mistaken. Yeah, that is correct. So yeah, just up by 3 seconds, but if there's like another mistake, especially for track limit, then it's a podium to lose here. Race chase, who the to before has overextended as Fellison and Ryan continue to brawl it out. Exit of 4 into this very fast bend of 5 into 6 outside line for the Hungarian driver, as there's a spin and a crash by Iman, and there's a safety car. We have a safety car on track.
Uh-oh, safety car deployed, and the top 2 were not at the pit lane entry, but guess what? Race Chase, Energetic, and Truckster were. So Truckster could be on for the win here. Oh my words, what a turn of fortune. Race Chase must be off the podium at this point, and Toby as well. He could gain all the positions in the world. Fellow Son will have a chance to serve his 10-second penalty now, but this is trouble for the top 2. They will not gets that initial pit stop advantage. They're only just coming through turn 4 now, but Herman, the race for the final few laps has been flipped on its head, and Truckster has been given a lifeline. He's been known for his 3-second penalty. He has none so far, but now Truckster could really make amends for his season 3 track limit rose.
Yeah, there's obviously the delta as soon as the delta disappears as soon as the leaders pick up the safety car, so the gap is basically frozen. They're not losing anything. You can see that by the top left, 33 seconds to the next car because they already pitted, and under safety car the top guys obviously don't lose that much. I'm hoping kind of that the ghosting enables lap cars to go by now, because that would even make sense somehow if you disregard the normal moving away from the safety car that is currently stationary just at the apex of 2. So yeah, they're gonna be looking at people like Truckster and Toby, as you mentioned before, to be kept out. And as you remember, season 4 kind of had a similar fate, where only Moksha and I think myself didn't have penalties, and he kind of secured that 2nd place despite having like hearts that were very used compared to soft runners, as most of the field pitted under the safety car. So I think we have a similar situation for time penalties. Tire-wise, there's only Sebo on different compound that is also not very used. So I'm interested to see how the pressure situation is now coming along, because Quincy certainly had this one in the bag. Tires were probably going to be good for a long time now, and there's now this urgency to get on with it, and rather soon, as this field is very spread. This might take even the full 3 laps we still have on offer here, so maybe 2 or 3 laps of racing on the green flags if it goes south in the eyes of Quincy right now, because he wants every extra lap he can get. But for now, in terms of pure race position, only the top 3 are lined up, and the next car is going to be energetic. Truckster inside of that 8th turn on the track now. So yeah, this is gonna be a little of a wait now before we have a dash to the finish. Despite Quincy eliminating Prince, we got one in the first race.
And look at this. I think somebody has been allowed to overtake. It is Skid Solo. I think he's been allowed to overtake and actually get a lap back. So Skid Solo should be allowed to overtake the safety car. He does, so he gets his lap back. Okay, so maybe a bit of safety car procedure here being followed, as you said, Herman. As then Skid Solo comes to a crawl. He's not... Is he not allowed to...
Maybe he's...
No.
Maybe he's about to get disqualified?
Yeah, he's not been allowed through. He tries again. I'll give him bravery for that. But we should be underway, whatever happens, by the next lap. Now, the whole pack hasn't caught up, so we should be underway by, at the very minimum, lap 34 out of 36.
Oh, ADS was spawned at the exit of 4. That helps with not being in the way. Obviously, being ghosted as a lap car is now a little of a distraction compared to before, because there's no physical car in between the top runners now.
Yeah.
But yeah, that spin just really summarizes the race so far, as he's been really going backwards only after the collision with Ryan, who has made himself fight back into what is now P7 regarding the time penalty so far.
Yeah, just want to let you know, Herman, a further wing damage for ADS. He cuts the pit lane line, but doesn't decide, and I think he knew that because he didn't go into the pits that time around. So another lap under safety car conditions. This should be the last one. Skid Solo has been allowed to unlap himself, so everybody, I think it's down from, let me just check the leader intervals. It's actually everybody from 13th to 1st, so Skid Solo still has... No, does he? No, I think Skid Solo is on the same lap as the leaders, judging by the gap to leader interval. So Skid Solo is now on the same lap. So everybody from 1st to 14th is on the same lap, on the lead lap. But unfortunately, for 15th and 16th, they've had no such luck. So they will have to finish the race a lap down. So here we go. But as I think there's been another spin. I think there was another spin for ADS, but anyway.
I think Sir Ibo is still thinking about the one without ghosting, because he just let everyone through as he has done before.
Oh, there's front wing end plates gone. Oh my word.
Late call by the safety car.
Late call by the safety car, but there's front wing end plates all over the place, and we kind of have to ignore that. That's going to be investigated by the stewards afterwards, but now we have to go quiet because the Mercedes engine needs to do the talking. And, well, we look behind for this safety car restart. Pleasant Snake, take it away. And doesn't wait too much longer at all, but Quincy is equal to it. And remember, everybody is on the soft tyres, so no tyre advantage anymore for any of these drivers. It is on pure race pace. We begin with 2 laps to go. We'll have DRS on lap 36 out of 36. So there'll be 2 more laps to decide this, and we'll see DRS next lap on this very straight. Does Quincy decide to hold back and have a go? Chugster still could benefit from all of this. Ryan Brooks has also made moves, as has Tarkangino. But, oh, a lot of damage happening. Fellow Son goes into the side of Tarkangino, getting 3 seconds to boot. Herman onto the final lap. Quincy, I think, is doing everything right.
Yeah, he needs to be patient, though. There's like 2 or 3 opportunities he can take here with. If he's close enough, he should try it as soon as it goes into turn 3, and after that it's turn 4 and even a late launch into 6 if there's battling side by side. I'm just currently spectating Toby to see if he fares on well, because I've seen him in positions before with no time penalties, good tire management, and obviously the right pick for that time, and still going down the order in the last couple of laps. So I'm hoping this is incident free as we approach the final lap of the race, Dave.
Here we go. When I find the notes, it's 2.6 miles separating Snake or Quincy from victory. Quincy has DRS between turns 1 and 3. Pleasant Snake all the way to the inside. Quincy goes to the outside, very wide through turn 3. Here we go, and even Energetic and Race Chase battling in the background, but I think Quincy has lost it. He went too deep into turn 3. He doesn't have DRS at all. Energetic and Race Chase in the background having a fight for 3rd place. A bit of a squiggle on the exit, but Trugster will be the beneficiary from all of this. But guess what? Quincy has still found a way back onto the back of Snake. He's only really got the straight between now and the final couple of turns, and it's not enough. I think Snake has got this in the bag, and Pleasant Snake will be the winner based on patience, and Quincy has a bit of a squiggle, but it is Snake who wins in Austria round 1, going to the Mercedes driver, and it will be Trugster in 3rd position with no 3-second penalties. Ryan Brooks 6th, no Sebo 8th, Toby took 7th, 9th is Tarkangino, 10th is Fellow Son, Quan is 11th, 12th is Kavachka, Skid Solo comes home 13th, 12th now. I didn't quite see the rest there, but I think we had another retirement in all of that as well somewhere. Didn't quite catch it though. But what a final couple of laps, and what an Austrian Grand Prix we had there. Division 2 bringing a lot of action in its first evening of Season 6, and the podium celebrations begin for the guy. Pleasant Snake takes away the win from Quincy with 2 laps to go. Herman, what an evening.
Sight. Yeah, that was. I'm already skipped past the podium ceremony, and to see that the cleanest driver is Truckster with the new awards handed out is really, in a sense, pleasantly surprising, because that was something I was hoping he was gonna be doing tonight, and he did that. He wasn't really the fastest because of also strategy and how the gaps open up in the first stage, but yeah, he's on the podium, and also Toby 7th. Very good result for him. I think that is much needed, salvaging for his wounds he had in previous seasons, so very happy for him as well.
Your unofficial results from 1st to 10th is Snake, Quincy, Trugster, Energetic, Race Chase, Ryan, Toby, No Sebo, Tarkangino, and Fellow Son. From 11th to 20th is Quan, Skid Solo, Kavachka, ADS, Sir Ibo, Eugene, Eman, Sergeant Devsy, Bruiser, and Jamaican Jam. There you go. Had to go through that very quickly, but now we don't go anywhere. We have got podiums with the top 3, but I just want to say what a final couple of laps there. And it was just non-stop action throughout the entire Grand Prix there. I thoroughly enjoyed that.
Yeah, same. It's always a good race, for obviously side-by-side racing, but helped by a lot of straights. So yeah, I think as always, and especially with a late safety car, has delivered.
Absolutely, and we have our top 3 here in the commentary box with us right now. We are going to start with our winner. Congratulations, Pleasant Snake. You take round 1 in Austria in Division 2. What a win that was.
Thank you. It was good. Quincy had me sweating all fucking race, so that was yeah, that was quite intense.
And obviously, with that safety car coming out with 2 laps to go, Quincy was just catching you inch by inch by inch. He was on the mediums and you were on the hards just before that safety car came out. What was your thoughts going through that before the safety car?
I would actually, oh yeah, I like the odds more without the safety car than with actually, but because I think the hard tires was gonna be quite strong for the last couple of laps. Anyways, I think the mediums were gonna fade away more towards the end. I think at least, not sure. So I think the odds were there, but yeah, didn't go there. Go with the clean race. It was safety car at the end, so made my heart bounce quite hard.
And just one last question before I pass it over to my co-commentator Herman. Obviously, we qualified second. Then we had an early ready up, so I had to restart the entire race. What did that do for your pre-race prep, and did that change anything? As pre-race prep, so to speak. And then as the race go on, did you have to change your strategy at all, or did you stick to the plan?
Yeah, I just went the same strategy as I was gonna for the first start after restart, and yeah, I went with the strategy I was planning from the start. Anyways, so yeah.
Thank you very much, Herman. Any further questions from you?
Yeah, well, the first talking point, obviously, tire offset was when you both pitted for the first time. You're obviously going for that medium in this the second stint. What was kind of the overall feeling for what is going to be happening after the first stint on the hard where you both started on? So, what kind of feel did you get for those mediums in the middle stint compared to maybe a faster stint that Quincy opted for before the safety car?
I felt like the mediums, for me at least, the front grip faded away really quick. I felt like, especially like for left-handers, I was struggling quite a bit in turn 6, and also for the 2 last corners with the front grip. I felt like they kind of lasted 3-4 laps with like decent grip, and then I started to struggle with understeering.
Yeah, one talking point that was obviously inside of qualifying as well. You didn't complete that final lap and left it with frustration upside down on the start finish straight. How much did you have in that lap after the final turn? Did you, or were you looking at the pole position there?
No, the lap was bad from turn 1, so I think I was like 1.5 tenths down already from on my time after turn 1, so it was a horrible lap. So wouldn't be in pole for me.
Okay,
Even with the
one talking point we had before the season when we kind of announced that it's going to be by pace and you couldn't make Mondays is that you were going to retire after one race win. How's that looking now after the first race is done?
that would if it wasn't close. But you still saw this race; it was close with Quincy. So then it can be fun.
Okay,
We will see.
looking forward to battles from you in Silverstone then.
Yeah, hope so.
Congratulations again on your win, Pleasant Snake, and thank you for taking time out of your evening today to take questions from us.
Thank you.
We move on to second place, and I will say congratulations regardless. You kept it in the top 2, but you were on pole, and it just kind of came undone thanks to the safety car. Quincy, how are you feeling?
Incredibly sad. But this is my second P2 in Austria in the last week, and this one kind of hurts because I thought I could do it. I know Snake is usually a faster driver than me, but I felt that because he didn't have any practice and I'd already done quite a few laps of Austria, I was feeling very confident, especially since I hit my personal best time in quali again tonight, a 103.9. I felt like I had a really good pace. Two things kind of messed it up for me. The McLaren pit box is the first pit box in the pit lane. So when I went to hit my pit limiter, it actually hit the turn in button at the same time. So I had a late stop. So when I was going for the undercut in the first stint, I got out just behind Snake by like a second or two, and then I had to fight and use the tires to get back into DRS again. So that messed me up. And then on the last run up to turn 3, I thought I had him, but he moved kind of unexpectedly, not in any way unfair, but I didn't expect him to move more to the right. And when I saw that I was going to hit him if I didn't move left, I moved left, and the car snaked completely. So the battle was lost. The race was lost pretty much at turn 3 on the last lap. So all in all, very good. Happy with the pace. Hopefully, I'll be pushing Snake all this season. Some of my favorite tracks are coming up, so I'm looking forward to Silverstone next week, and hopefully I'll be back up in the top 2 or 3 again.
And of course, we look forward to seeing more of that over the next coming weeks, that's for sure. Just to talk about, like, obviously the delay very briefly, did that affect your mental prep in any way, shape, or form?
No, not really. I mean, it did give me a lot to do in a small space of time, but I was very focused on getting the setup on, making the changes, because when we hit the formation lap on the first run before we restarted, we all made quali changes to our setups, small changes to the wings, tire pressures, etc. And everyone was basically away when it readied up. So E-Man got put to the back of the grid. He will be having a quali ban for the next race. And well, I'm going to have a talk into him. It was a mistake, surely, but these things can't happen in this league, unfortunately. So, unfortunately for him. But yeah, mental was not affected. I just came back in. I knew I had the first run up to turn 1, which is the best place to be, really, when you're leading this Grand Prix, because of the amount of people that like to go 3 wide. So I just thought I'd push away a little bit at first on the first few laps, but then I realized my tire wear was going up very, 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 very quickly. So I decided to hold back enough of sort of trying to get Snake out of my DRS and just work with him to get away from the guys behind. And we ended up, I think, like 8 seconds ahead of everybody else. So I think I'm still learning in terms of race IQ. It's getting there, and hopefully I'll do better next time.
One last question from me before I hand it over to Herman. Just to talk about strategy very quick. Obviously, you kind of pinpointed very briefly there in your answer that tire wear has severely increased since. So we've kind of had the mandatory 2-stop rule abandoned, only for it to be brought back in another way. How has this been affecting the racing on your side on this game?
I really enjoy it because, as you saw today, me and Snake picked the same starting strategy, but the middle stint, I believe, is what decided it, because the hard tyre crossover to the medium is like 3 laps. So the mediums are only good for 3 laps versus the hard, and then after that, the hard is the better tyre. So I think even if the safety car didn't come out, I would have caught him, but I would not have been able to pass him, I don't think, because my tyres, even though I had 2 laps of 2 laps better tyres, I still think that he would have won the race based on the way the hards work on this particular track, and they're very good tyres on this track.
All right, Herman, any further questions?
Yeah, first of all, congratulations on this very good Lando Norris impression in a McLaren with a yellow helmet, bottling a pole position. So, yeah, very good job there. But yeah, there was one thing I wanted to discuss because strategy was already talked about. I think looking at this season and the lineup we currently have for Division 2, all of the drivers, I think it was kind of set up already that you and Snake might be the favorites here. I think you're also in the team that has the most chances to take a Constructors' Championship in this season. How are you feeling after this first race about this favorites role?
I feel good. I feel very good about the team as well. I know Race Chase, he messaged me earlier to say that he didn't have any pace, but he was with us. I know he was a couple of seconds behind, but he was in the top 3. I think only the penalties let him down. So I feel really good about the team. I think there's other people in there as well. Tarkan Gino has shown some serious pace recently. Truckster as well, you got him. He's quite a danger. I hear from him he's fixed his track limits issues from last game as well, as you've seen today. We've also got the rookie Ryan Brooks. He's very good as well, so I expect him to be up there when the track suits him. So yeah, all in all good. There's some surprising guys like ADS today with his laps in quali. That was quite surprising. So I think about five of us in here will be good enough to get a win this season. Just obviously depending on the track. So yeah, I feel good, but I know that there's still challenges. You know, things happen in racing, so we just need to keep on top.
Yeah, speaking of tracks, a quick word about the calendar. Does it suit you or does it not?
Calendar-wise, I think a lot of the tracks do suit me in Division 2. I love Silverstone. I love Melbourne. You know, I've got a couple of podiums there. Jeddah, one of my favourites. Spa, Hungary, not two of my favourites, but the rest of them is great. So 2 tracks out of 10, you know, I'm looking forward to. And the Mystery Grand Prix, obviously, we'll just take as it comes.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations on second again, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you.
Truckster, third place. Congratulations to you, and no 3-second penalty to boot either. How are you feeling?
Hello. Finally made it to the cool down room. Nice to meet you, Dave. Yeah, feeling all right actually. That was good. Safety car helped me at the end, obviously. But to win it with no penalties against people who were all around me had penalties is quite satisfying, given my track record.
And absolutely, we certainly gave you a lot of stick for that back in, I think it was season 3, and then we didn't quite see you for a season or
Well
two.
deserved, yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, what have you actually gone and done to actually fix that? Can you sort of take us behind the scenes of the Truckster preparation for that?
I don't know, to be honest. Just concentrating more, I suppose. I play in cockpit, and I'm an old man at 53, so mistakes happen now and then.
Okay,
no.
yeah, certainly that's very inspiring. But I want to talk about sort of the whole prep going into tonight. So, you know, we had that delay due to an early ready up. Did that affect you at
Yes.
all, or were you just kind of
Yeah,
like just
a
keeping
little
yourself
bit.
calm?
I nipped for a pee, and when I came back, the green light were on for formation lap. I hadn't put my strategy in or anything, so yeah. Fortunately, we restarted, so it was all good. But yeah,
And then
didn't really affect me once the restart occurred, really. But just
Mhm.
that initial, pardon my French. You know.
and then sort of going into the race, and once that got underway, like, you know, what has been the surprising thing about the tyre wear for you? I mean, obviously it's a lot more severe, and I've asked this to a lot of drivers. But has this been? Do you feel this is working to your advantage, and could this work even further to your advantage as the season goes on, or is it just a bit of annoying?
Sorry, I just thought I'll just plod away, take care of my tyres, and see what comes at the end. You know, rather than burn them tyres out and struggle. I suppose that's when the penalties occur, isn't it, and the warnings. So yeah, I'm taking it a bit more steady, I think, just because of the tyres. Oh, have we gone?
All right, and Herman, if you have any further questions.
Yeah, Truckster, was a very interesting fight for basically top fourth place throughout the race. You're talking Gino on your around you, then
and energetic.
and energetic. There was quite a fight. Obviously, also different strategies. Energetic for that overcut on the last run with the medium. How did you fancy your chances without that late safety car? Do you feel like there was a top 4 in there, or were you a bit worried how much they could catch up from the back there?
Well, I missed my turning on my first pit stop, so that cost me quite a bit of time. But yeah, I think there was possibility of it. Yeah, you always got to be optimistic, haven't you? I suppose. So, but yeah, I think there was a chance. But it all worked out well in the end, anyway. So all's good.
Yeah, that is true. Obviously, there was just one race out of 10 so far. Do you think that was a strong starting point because you liked Austria? that much, or do you just look forward to the rest of the season as equal as you did for tonight?
I think I look forward to the rest of the season as equal. Yeah, there's quite a few good tracks in there. Some of the classics, I do like them. So yeah, Austria is just a average track for me, really. It's a simple track, but it's also quite technical to get the good times, I suppose. So yeah, it's not a favourite and it's not a worst one. So a decent starting point.
Okay, looking forward to this being a starting point for maybe more podiums. Thank you very much, and speak to you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your commentary as well, boys. Well done.
Thank you very much, Chuckster.
No problem.
Congratulations on P3. No 3-second penalties. May this continue throughout the season for you.
Woo woo. Okay, thank you.
All right. Well, Herman, any final words? Because I'm about to go and do my sign off. Anything you want to add on before we all go our separate ways?
Great race. I think we already found the ferrets better, not only on track but also the names wise. And yeah, I think Silverstone is probably not gonna be different in terms of excitement. So I'm looking forward, and obviously you always have to think about that extra spice with the rainy weather that usually occurs there. So yeah, just looking forward to another great track for battling, and hopefully 20 drivers that will fight it out just like they have been doing today. So yeah, looking forward to next week.
Brilliant. Herman, it'll be great to see you again. We'll be back on Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. GMT. But of course, from Herman, I guess I will leave you now to sign off, and then I'll go do my own.
Yeah, have a great rest of your day. Bye.
Bye-bye. And well, that concludes a first and fantastic opening round from Division 2. Of course, do not forget, both divisions are going to be now live on here for SSRL. So don't forget, you can catch Division 1 as well at the same time on a Monday, where Andy Andre is trying to hold his title. Not off to the best of starts, only was able to get 5th place outside of the top 3. But we know Andy Andre can even move up the field, despite when his first round goes all pear-shaped. Of course, Herman is in that division as well, so if you want to see him, you can catch the action there about 7:30 p.m. BST on Monday. But Division 2 will be back at the same time as always next week on a Tuesday. And, well, it is Silverstone to come. So, from myself, from the admins, the stewards, and the co-commentator, and the drivers, we all thank you so much for watching, and we hope to see you next week. But until then, have a very good evening, and we wish you all the very best for the rest of your day. Bye for now.